what's your hot take right now? What are some of the things on your mind?
Well, I mean, there's a lot, right? That's a lot to unpack. I would say, as someone who studied race relations, who's an immigrant, you know, my family fled Sri Lanka, a war-torn country, to give me a better life, coming here and raised me in Southern Virginia. My dad went to VOD Tech, and, you know, being a brown man with a thick accent in Blacksburg, Virginia in 1980, not very easy. So, you know, that there's a lot of stuff there that's kind of coming up right now with everything I see, but there's also a lot of things I can't relate to, not being a black man in America. And I have a lot of friends and family that this hits hard. So there's just a lot personally for me, because I believe so much in this issue. And I don't believe it's an issue of June 2020. It's an issue that's happened forever. It just happens that the media's on, everyone's hashtagging, and now it's 100%. The topic.
And the big concern is, I'm worried that it's a news cycle. I mean, Me Too doesn't feel hot as hell right now.
Right. Right.
And that's still going and was going and is going.
And dude, it drives me nuts when I hear people say, well, you know, given the current state of affairs, when current state of affairs, this has been the state of affairs. Yeah, this is how it's been. This is not a current thing. This has been what it's been like. So
Jackson,
for me personally,
there are children in cages in our country right now.
Yeah, I mean,
there's you know, like
yeah. I mean, listen, so anyway, so there's a lot there, and we could spend hours. You have people here who are really better qualified than me to talk about all the layers that go into what we need to do. But as a professional, as a corporate person too,
please,
you know, I do believe it's my duty to create as much of an open environment that really enables foundational change, right? I think Asia before me was talking about, like, let's not tokenize people. Let's not just do what's right because it's a moment. Let's do what's right because it's the right thing to do. And let's create foundational change, systemic change. So, you know, I talked about this on LinkedIn recently, Gary, about, like, you know, this article, all these CEOs, all the changing guards of the CEOs and why they're struggling to adapt. And you saw what's happening with some brands now, changing their name, changing their logos, even though there's still some egregious examples of pure racism across sports and entertainment and brands, but they wait for the moment to react. And, you know, one of my things is, how do we change systematically at the board level, at the CEO level, to ensure that there's more people of color, more people representing different genders, representing the LGBTQ community, representing all walks of life, religious affinities, so that we have true perspective, and there's people calling each other out along the way.
Let me tell you where I'm at on my world, Jackson. What I basically decided 18 months ago, and obviously back to the moment, I'm a human like everybody else. 18 months ago, we started making progress on this. It's obviously more in the ethos, so you just get affected. I realized, just like hitting a quota, and I was against quota my whole, you know, because I did a lot of homework on, like, other organizations that had to hit quotas and how it undermined it, because I felt we have kind intent, we have good intent. But I decided, just like hitting a quota to hit a profit margin to pay your bank bills, we're just like, I've just started to become a dictator about it. Like, it's all my fault. Everything at all my companies is 100% my fault. So to your point, I think it's just going to come down to treating things that you believe in as a mandatory thing, no different than the oxygen of having a credit line or a bank line, or right? We're having, you know,
and hiring people who care, right? At every level. Do you really care about this? Do you care about this, or are you just checking the box to say, yes, I've done my part? Do you really care about creating that diverse perspective at the table? So for me, this is everything. It's been something that's been on my mind for a long time. Listen, like, post 9/11, man, even now, when I go to an airport, the stares I get, if I fly to Cincinnati, no offense, Cincinnati, if I fly to Kentucky, I fly to Texas, I've flown all those places in the last 6 months. It is an awkward, and maybe I don't have myself with a beard, but it is not a fun walk up and down that plane or through the airport and through the random screenings, man. Like, so listen, I'm all for it. I think it starts at every level, in every function, every vertical, including corporate world. So we all have a role there. So, you know, that's one big topic we can definitely address. But on the other side, I think you also probably want to talk about direct to consumer. I know you and Shane probably think about that a lot too, in terms of where are we going, right? Post-COVID, during and pre-COVID, it was already going there, man. So, like, to me, people talking about this now, oh man, I get recruiters hitting me up from large CPGs, I'm not going to say names, saying, hey, we need to invest in this now. I'm like, well, you should have been investing it 2 years ago. So now you're going to spend a lot of money and resources to maybe get up to speed. So, you know, what I would say is, as you guys know, we're going to see a shift. And this isn't to say retail is going away. We all know, I mean, retail isn't going away. It's going to be an omni-channel experience. It's going to be the different ways of shopping. The square footage, how the physical store experience looks like might change. When and how you engage with the brand might change. When and where you place an order versus pickup might change. Last mile will still be key, but that whole mind shift, I think people go polarize it. So like, oh, it's no more retail, it's all pure play. It's like, no, man, it's both, it's everything. And the foundational piece under that will be the data, right? I think that still gets lost. I could sell a widget, Gary, you know, you could sell services. Shane, you could sell season tickets. I could sell a physical product and Clorox products. At the end of the day, that first party data drives it all. So I think the more this continues to evolve post-COVID, the shopping behaviors, people looking to say, hey, I don't want to go to a crowded Costco right now. I want my wholesale goods shipped to me, or I'm just going to go curbside and pick it up. All that's going to be driven by the data. And I think that's the thing that even retailers, let alone CPGs and people who are not tied to the point of sale, are struggling to kind of catch up on. So I'm really curious to see what this shift means. And from a talent standpoint, what a great opportunity. If you're coming out of school right now, or you're thinking about what to major in, you're not thinking about decision science, forget data science and predictive modeling, decision science. You're not thinking about really digging into programming and learning Python, learning SQL, like that's going to put you at a huge advantage against anyone else. I mean, forget the guy who knows, you know, how to do above the line marketing. There's like a million people like that. You show me someone who knows SQL and Python, could do decision and predictive modeling, and can also run my performance marketing. Oh, and maybe starts to learn about brand. That's the person I'm hiring. So I think there's a huge shift happening from high school all the way to the senior ranks. And I think you're going to see it at the C-suite as well.
Shane?
Yeah, I was reminded of that line from White Man Can't Jump when Rosie O'Donnell says to Billy Wu, says, Billy, I'm thirsty. And Billy gets up and gets her a glass of water and she says, no, I want you to say, honey, I know what it feels like to have thirst too. So that struck me when you said we need to hire people who care. Can we make people care? I know that sounds weird. Can we make people care? And can we make people authentically want to care instead of just checking that box?
Yeah, Shane, I think about this all the time, and this is hard to judge, right? Because it's like if your heart's not hurting right now, if your stomach's not in knots thinking about this and how sad this is and what we need to do to fix this, how sad it's been for a long time, like that's got to come through in the interview. When you talk to someone, you got to see like that passion. They got to care about this topic and want to actually make an impact. Versus like, yeah, you know, going through the academic, like I did this. No, I want to see fucking passion in you. I want to hear you swear. I want to hear you talk about this. Even if you're a straight white male, I don't care. Like have some passion and care about this. Just like you might care about sustainability. How is that we can, and trust me, sustainability is really important, but this is human lives. We're talking about people here. Like we're talking about some shit that's been going on for so long. So to me, it's at that level, Shane. And I know, listen, I'm probably, you know, too much of an optimist. Maybe this isn't reality. It's not the corporate world. I live in the corporate world. I get it. But I think we're at a point now where genuinely we have to change the way we think about hiring. And a Harvard Wharton degree is amazing. Don't get me wrong. That can't be the only thing anymore, right? We got to look at things. I think years of experience.
Jackson, by the way, the data showed in practicality in the business world, it wasn't as great as people think.
Yeah, but perception, Gary. Perception though, right? There are still recruiters out there.
Listen, perception is fucking exactly the point of what we're talking. I mean, we could that should be the t-shirt everybody wears if we want to get the right conversation going. Pro and con, perception is the entire situation.
Yep.
It's the most powerful currency in the world.
Yeah. And I do think it's shifting. Like I see it, right? You guys probably see years of experience. Right? It used to be like, oh, you know, 30 years. This is the funniest one. Hey, we're looking for a CMO or a CEO, 30 years experience, deep D2C and analytics. I'm like,
as if it doesn't even exist.
Like, who are you getting? Please introduce me to this person, because I would love to talk to them for an hour, because I feel like I'm about to get rich talking to this person, because they knew this 30 years ago.
Jackson, on that point, you know, and obviously I launched the e-commerce wine business in 1996. So this conversation's, you know, exciting for me because I can you know, in the way that COVID sped up DTC, which it clearly did, the behavior has shifted, period, end of story. What, you know, people are saying nobody's got the data on how many years or what have you, but it's shifted it. You know, do you view the Black Lives Matter scenario that we're all living through right now also speeding up the process of us having a healthier conversation around race in this country?
God, man, I hope so. Just like the Me Too movement in some ways, but it's also very different. I do hope so, Gary. I mean, I posted about this the other day. It's June, right? And it is the topic. The question are we going to hold each other accountable? Are we going to hold each other in check? Am I going to hold myself accountable in September, in December, in June of next year, in 2022, 2023? That's the key. I see a lot of people posting a lot of great things. The key is what's that foundational effort? And it's so nice to post something, Well, what are you doing? Sometimes I've seen some people doing things that aren't getting any press, right? They're not posting anything, but they're engaging on a very local level with local communities, organizations. We have a big engineering team. There's a great organization. There's, Girls Who Code. You guys know that great organization. There's also Black Girls Who Code. So like, how do we engage with communities like that to start recruiting and start sponsoring their events? So we open up the pipeline. How do we go to historical Black colleges to recruit from versus Harvard and Duke and Warren? Not to say you disregard them, but like it's those systematic things, right? That I think will set the foundation.
And it's on action. Back to me, and I think there's a lot of people. The biggest breakthrough for me is fuck. And I really started having the seed 18 months ago, and we changed some things. And now I'm really excited because I'm like, fuck you to myself. I demonized quotas because I wanted the intent, because I'm so in love with intent. And now I've switched. You evolve. And I'm like, back to what you just said, we're doing a specific scholarship program for historically Black colleges for VaynerMedia. And I'm just mandating that. And that's just, there's no other way to fix than to act.
Yeah.
And either you do it or you don't.
You're seeing in sports, right? I'm already starting to see some 4-star and 5-star athletes decommit from major programs and go to historical
100%.
Black colleges. So like the more that happens across the industries, across other verticals, like the more I'll make an impact. I'll tell you one thing too, that's kind of tough for me as a minority. I think also America's kind of created a little bit of a minority against minority. Like there's a tension. There's always tension.
100%.
People of color. And I think it's really important that while all of us have our struggles, right now is the moment to focus on the Black community. And I think sometimes minorities, we try to take this moment like, oh, this is us. It's like, yes, I've had my challenges. 100%. Don't get it twisted. But like my challenge is not the same. And I think that's a discussion that also needs to be had. It's like, yes, we're all people of color, but right now we have an issue that we really need to address that goes back centuries. And I think sometimes
I think that's right. I literally, some of my friends got mad at me, and I'm just like laughing. I'm like, no, I understand all lives matter. Is it okay that we just focus on the Black ones right now? What the fuck's the matter with people? Like everybody, the world doesn't think, most people don't understand that the world is abundant.
Yeah.
Worrying about Black lives right now doesn't mean we don't worry about trans, or don't worry about, Muslim Americans, or don't worry about Jews, or don't worry about whites. Like, it doesn't mean that. Why is this such a fucking either or? And we need to be able to hold the capacity for those things.
Yeah, and I think it starts with a general empathy, right? Real, genuine empathy and care for people. And if you don't have that, man, like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm with you on that.